You're listening to Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information, check out chrisblair.com. Hey, everybody out there listening in podcast land or wherever you are listening to this today. This is another episode of Stories Behind the Songs. I am your host, Chris Blair, and chances are, if you are a music fan of any kind, at some point you've been to a show at a fair or festival or something like that. Maybe it's a local festival in your hometown, or maybe it's a songwriters festival that you've gone to, like Key West Songwriters Festival, Annapolis, Muscle Shoals, or the St. Augustine Songwriters Festival. I'm going to get into that in just a little bit, but that is our guest today. Arlis Albritton, good friend of mine. I've known him pretty much since I moved to town. He's originally from Florida, moved to Nashville, had a little stint in Muscle Shoals where he worked for the famous Fame Studios. Then he came to town and started running around with a bunch of buddies that he met when he first moved to town. And we kind of all grew up in that friendship. Guys like Dierks Bentley, Randy Houser, Jared Neiman, Jamey Johnson, Halfway to Hazard guys, Bryan Davis, and then songwriters like Stephen Dale Jones, who wrote One More Day for Diamond Rio, which that relationship led to Arlis getting his first cut by Diamond Rio. Since then, he's had songs cut by Jamey Johnson, Luke Bryan, Parmalee, Vandaliers, Josh Thompson, Curtis Grimes, Keith Anderson, Halfway to Hazard, Michael Montgomery, Diamond Rio. I mean, I could go on and on. There's Brian Davis, Craig Wayne Boyd, Stephen Lee Olson, Scotty Berg, Cliff Cody. Yeah, I mean, literally, I could go on and on. He's had so much success as a writer, and honestly, does not get enough credit. He has done so much, and he's just very humble, and he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. In my opinion, I think he's amazing, and he deserves more credit. But anyway, he also was a manager for a long time. He managed Jamey Johnson and just recently Kenny G. And there's a lot of stories we can't talk about. Some of them I might or might not have been involved in. But he is going to touch on that a little bit in this episode and talk about like stories about how he slept in Matthew McConaughey's Airstream while he was Jamey Johnson's manager. Pretty cool stuff. But again, we're going to dive into kind of that outside of songwriting in a way and look at what it takes to come up with an idea for a festival, fundraising, putting it together, getting the word out, getting the artist, all of that. I love what he's done. I was sitting with him having a drink from day one when he started talking about the idea to do this, and I am honored that he's brought me to St. Augustine every year to host the main stage, and I get to introduce every single writer that performs and hang out with some of my best friends in the industry, always meet new friends. It's always a blast. It's just really cool. I loved this episode. We actually did it down in St. Augustine when we were down there for the festival just a couple weeks ago. And so I hope you enjoy it. Let's get to it. This is my buddy, Arlis Albritton. Let's go. Hey everybody, here's another episode of Stories Behind the Songs. I am your host, Chris Blair, and this is a little bit different today. We are in Florida.
I know.
It's crazy. I am with my buddy, Arlis Albritton, and he puts on the St. Augustine Songwriters Festival every year, and I'm just so glad to be down here at the Colonial Oak with you, my man.
I'm so glad to have you, dude. Thank you so much.
It's going to be a blast. We're gonna get to talk about songwriting, which we always do,
right?
Because you're an incredible songwriter.
Thank you.
But also kind of shifting it up about stories behind the festival.
Okay.
And what happens, like we started talking about this festival from day one.
Yes.
So I knew all the planning that was going on.
Right.
And now and you've been involved with a couple.
Yes. Yes.
So a lot of great stuff to dive into. So let's kind of go back to the beginning. I always start letting all the listeners just know how you got into music in the first place.
Okay. That's
so
great.
Kind of walk me through that.
Yeah, I could do that. I moved to Nashville from Florida, Palmetto, Florida, and I lived in my car and all that like everybody else, and just started working in the industry. I was a tape copy guy at Fame with Rick Hall and all those guys from Muscle Shoals, but they had an office in Nashville, so I was kind of his go-to guy when it came to tape copies and stuff. And then as that moved on, I met Stephen Dale Jones, Dierks Bentley, and all these guys, and we all just started writing together. And one day, Stephen Dale Jones wrote this little song called One More Day, and he was at their #1 party, Diamond Rio's #1 party, and he had a guitar vocal of our song we wrote and gave it to Diamond Rio, and he goes, "Hey, this will be your next hit." And they cut it like 2 weeks later, and I was like, what? That was my first cut, and then I got signed to EMI and progressively went to Warner, and it stumbled into this professional songwriting side of me. So
yeah,
and it's been a blast.
How was it in the room writing such an epic hit? Like what's the story behind that song?
Well, I didn't write that one.
Okay.
One More Day. No.
I didn't think.
No. I wrote "We All Fall Down," but
away.
it was his song he wrote, and then we went in and to the #1 party,
yes.
and he just happened to hand our song to them.
Okay.
And I was like, what?
This makes sense. Yeah, because I'm sitting here going, dude, you've been holding out on me because
No.
I know you're a great writer, but like I did not know that you wrote
He handed them
that.
a CD. That's how old we are.
Okay.
Here's a CD.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least it wasn't a tape, right?
No,
Yes,
right.
yeah.
We're up to the CD level
Yeah,
at that
exactly.
age, right?
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
so you have that happen,
Yes.
and then you start working with all these great publishers.
Yeah, all these great publishers, song pluggers. It was amazing, and I got in this little circle. I met like Randy Houser, Jamey Johnson, Jared Neiman, Lee Bryce, Brian Davis, Halfway to Hazard Boys, Keith Anderson, and we just kind of became a clique, and they all started cutting my songs, and we would write together. I started getting outside cuts with Luke Bryan and Parmalee and Vandaliers and all these guys. Like I'm the cut guy, but never the hit guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, just Josh Thompson took one to like 24 or something like that back in the day, so that was fun.
Higher
Josh.
than one I have, so that's good.
Well, we're both busy now.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
So I continue to write. It's more of a hobby, and I'm having so much fun with it now. I don't have, as much as I love publishers and working with them, I don't have that beat down all the time. Like, What do you have? I need this. You're at your point. You got to have a song this month or 2 songs or whatever your quota is. And it just got to the point where now I'm just free. I call up my buddies and I'm like, yeah. And, hey, let's not write today. Let's go golf. Okay. It doesn't matter now. It's just fun. You know?
Come over and you write with my neighbor and then you just leave and don't say hi.
Yeah, I come over to your neighbor, Rob Williford. I write with Rob and then we head out. Yeah. So it's awesome.
So you also, you've done so much in this industry. And I mean, there's probably stories that we can't even talk about on here because some of them that I've been involved in when you used to manage Jamey Johnson and we had some wild times down in Key West.
Gosh, man. That was crazy.
But how, and you still work with Kenny G, yes?
I just left Kenny G.
Just left.
Yeah, he's a great guy, but I wanted to grow festivals a little more. And he's touring the world, and instead of just coming down here for 10 days, 12 days, 2 weeks, whatever, it's 3 months out with him and stuff. So it gets a little trying, and you come home and your kids are like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, man, I get that.
Yeah.
Well, in the management, just overall with Jamey and Kenny and everything that you've done, like what's been the struggles and the blessings of that?
Oh, well, the blessings are just connecting with everybody, because Jamey's fame allowed me to have conversations with people I never would, like sleeping at Matthew McConaughey's Airstreamer in front of his house and things like that, right? It's like... That's no big deal. Hanging with Woody Harrelson and everybody. But you don't think of that when you're just trying to get up to this certain level. And I noticed, as the fame took off, you just got to meet different people. But they all, that's what was cool about it. Just getting to travel everywhere and then affording things, finally. Once in my life. Yeah. Hey, you want rice with hot sauce or rice with pepper?
Yeah.
So
the music industry is awesome until you get a paycheck.
Yeah.
Because you don't get one.
There's zero. And some songwriters, they're just, if you don't have the hits, I don't know how they're surviving.
Yeah.
So, but man, there's so many talented songwriters in Nashville. It's so cool to see all this new generation coming in.
Truly is.
And the talent they have blows my mind.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
I think that's a good transition. Let's move into everything that you've done.
Okay.
For where we are for St. Augustine.
Okay.
And the festival side, because, I want to go into the behind the snes of everything that you have had to do.
Okay.
how you even thought about St. Augustine.
Yeah, absolutely.
The struggles you went through to find sponsors and grow the money to be able to support this and all of that. But I also, talking about the struggling artist, I think it's really cool because we've known each other for, gosh, how long now? Yeah, almost 20. Yeah, 20. Yeah. So, like I've always loved your heart and like the way that you just pour into other people.
Yeah.
It's never about Arlis. It's about everybody else.
I appreciate it, man.
And I've seen you do that since day one of this festival.
Yeah.
Where you start, we're sitting here at the Colonial Oak right in front of the stage that you graciously have allowed me to come host every single year.
You're amazing at it, dude. I'm going to make you come every year. Are you kidding?
Hey, I love it. And, but, in just a couple hours, we're going to kick it off. And you always start with local writers that are from here.
Right.
And that's amazing. And even one of them, Davis Luce, who I met several years ago, I told him, hey, if you ever want to move to Nashville, I will give you a job at the listening room.
I love that.
And 2 years later, he was there, and now he's killing it and writing with everybody. And
I know he texted
awesome.
me and he goes, I'm going to work at the listening room, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, like just walk me through all of that because you have put so much into this, and it's amazing.
It started originally, when I was managing Jamey day to day, tour managing day to day. I was doing all this work and effort, and Charlie Bauer. I used to go to Key West Songwriters Festival as an artist, as a writer, and sing all the songs that you get cut. And then when I was down there, he took me and he goes, man, Arlis, I want this to have a bigger artist and take it up a level. I said, well, I tell you what, why don't I ask Jamey and see if he'll come down and we'll put on a big old show. And we did. And it was so massive. There was so many people. And then next thing you know, more people started getting involved in these bigger acts. And then after that, there's huge acts that come down there now. And I just saw all that process. And I saw how Charlie took it from this organic side and made it a little bigger than I probably would have done. But the organic growth of it blew my mind. He started with like 15, maybe less than that at the Hog's Breath, 6-7 writers. And he just had them through the day. And they did one day show and then they hauled butt. And now there's over 200 plus writers, 40 plus stages. It's like insane.
It's crazy.
So I'm the lead production now on that. I'm running all their stages for them and helping them all do that. And Charlie wanted to come here and open one and do one. And I said, let's do it. I'll partner with you and do it. And then he got a little to where he was so busy and he had a lot of things going on in his life. He goes, we just went to breakfast one day. And he goes, you just take the lead on St. Augustine Songwriters Festival. And if you know one guy in St. Augustine, it needs to be Dylan Rumrell.
Yes, that is 100% true.
He is the sweetest human being on earth, and he is willing to, for this community and for music, to go out of his way and make things happen. And so with his heart and mind, there's no way. We just knew we couldn't fail. We could work our butts off and make this happen. And he's the key role in making it happen here. And Lady Bozard, she took a chance on me. She didn't know me. And she goes, I tell you what, this is what we'll do. And so we got the hotel involved for sponsorship. And they were like, well, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't know what this is, but we'll give you 10 hotel rooms. And I was like, perfect. So I brought 9 writers down and I had a hotel room. That's how we got started. Yeah. Kept it as cheap as possible. And it was such a success. And people came out and just got attached to it because for the first time this town saw that Kenny Chesney didn't write this #1 song. This guy did. And he was just in a bar 5 minutes ago drinking with me, and he's so cool. And then they get attached to the writers because it's like it's an outlet for the writers to come down and hang, and it's something for the community to grab onto as ownership because they get to hang with the writers and hear their stories, and not even from the stage, but in a bar or in a restaurant or walking down St. George Street there. And it's amazing, So I love it. I love it.
What were probably like anybody out there that which not a lot of people start a festival, right? But just people interested in the kind of behind the scenes. Like, what do you think your biggest challenges were in starting this? Like the place is beautiful. That's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah.
And you just talked about trying to find the right people, which Dylan and Letty were a huge part of. But like, what else? Like,
I think it was talking to the songwriters. Most of the songwriters that came initially, I had a strong relationship with, really good friends. Yeah. And they knew that I dealt with all the other stuff and helped with Key West and all these other songwriters festivals. So they were willing to come down and take a chance.
Yeah.
And they were willing to come down very inexpensively at first, because I said, please just allow me to grow this. And once it started growing, now I'm able to kind of commit a little more to them and give them more access to better hotels and things like that, that kind of stuff, and which is great. And secondly, I think my strongest part was I couldn't find employees really, or helper that was willing to come down for just 4 days and work and bust their butts as hard as me. Yeah. So I just did it all for like 6 years. It was just me. 5 years. Dylan and all them helped, but like when it came to like calling everybody, booking the flights, hotel, and all that, it was just, I just did it all.
Yeah.
In the middle of Kenny G's tour and all that other stuff.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Yeah,
there's 18 other things, and I'm like, So, yeah, it's been crazy.
Well, dude, you've done a great job with it. I mean, from day one, we've gone to multiple festivals together.
Yes.
And they're all good. But there's something about this. I've told you this before, that like this festival from day one, not growing into it. Yeah. Day one, like the drivers at the airport.
Oh, they're amazing.
So organized.
Yeah.
Like I still talk to the drivers from day, that are still,
Mark, they're the best, man.
They text me throughout the year, like, hey man,
awesome.
how's Nashville doing? Like it's
great.
just great. It's like a family, and I think it's important. Like we're here at Colonial Oak. We've mentioned Colonial Oak a couple times.
Yeah.
There's a show that just started a minute ago.
Okay.
Right down. So I think it's important to talk about them too, because Prohibition Kitchen is also a great venue
they were
for
day
you.
one. They were with us since day one, and Shane's a great guy. He owns that and Pizza Alley and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great little corner on the street there, but he was in day one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody else was in, but once it started and they realized that, this is really neat. It brought in a lot of their community and faces that usually don't come. It's like Nashville. Locals don't come down here a lot, right? In Nashville.
Right.
Locals don't really come down here a lot. They stay out. And so this is bringing them in, and they're drinking at the bars and all that. And so it's like, hey, that's my neighbor, like this, know. It's like, and so it's been a good change for everybody. It's a good growth. And then we got Trade Winds, our late night, which, oh man, Janet is the best. Like she's amazing. She just outfitted the whole restaurant with a new air conditioning unit so we wouldn't be too hot.
Yeah.
So it's great. But
and you can hardly get in there.
One's like a specialty. So it's like if you're not there early to get in, the capacity, you don't get in.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm on the VIP list.
Yeah,
because I'm here hosting until the last round.
So you get to go right
about
in.
Halfway through that last round. I see people starting to get out, and I'm like, oh man. And I get down there. There's a line down the block, and it's like I just walk up to the front and be like,
yeah,
I'm the host.
I might start a new late night. 2 late nights.
Yeah.
But there's something special about Trade Winds. It's where Buffett got booed off the stage at one time. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I did,
and all that. And everybody's played there. And Buffett in People Magazine, I think it was, said it's his favorite dive bar he's ever been in. So that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
That's amazing how that place is. It's an amazing place. So
man, it just kind of hit me that like we just lost him.
Yeah.
And it's like just the connection to this town and everything. That's just it's kind of crazy. We're gonna be hanging out at Trade Winds tonight.
I know. That's why I got Jesse Rice and Cliff Cody.
Yeah, perfect.
Because I got
the
king of Parrot Head, and then I got Cliff Cody, the king of Key West.
Yeah.
That's why I actually put him there tonight as our late night for that purpose.
See, y'all. This is why I wanted to interview this guy, because it's not just like, okay, here's some random names, let's just put them somewhere. You actually think about what you're doing.
Yes. And Keo's going to drum for him. I got Keo to come down.
Yeah.
He's Big and Rich is drummer, and all these guys. He's
and now we can say also
Mo.
today's the Today Show drummer.
He is the Today Show
Isn't that
drummer.
crazy? I was good. Dude,
man,
my boy.
He's got a couple other secrets that'll come out later, so that'll be good. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Tiny Ben Williamson.
Oh, yeah.
Drumming around.
Yeah.
The artists that come here, though, it's a vibe,
Yeah, it truly is.
I know some writers that I'll have down here, and they just don't interact with everybody, and that's fine because that's their personality, and they write hits, and that's about storytelling and giving the fans what they want. But I also maintain that the writers that come down and put on a great vibe, just very positive energy, talking to everybody. They're not going to shoo away fans and stuff like that. That's a big thing, man. It's a big thing for a festival to have those type of writers come down. So it's really cool. AJ Cross being one of the guys that hang out with everybody. You know, he's amazing.
This episode is brought to you by Sennheiser microphones. When we first started this podcast, we were using some older microphones, and Sennheiser came in and sponsored us and gave us some MK4s and 914s. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's made all of the difference in the world. We love these microphones. We use them at the listening room as well. And I just can't say enough great things about them. Go check out Sennheiser.com. If you are into music in any way, their microphones are hands down the best on the planet. Go check them out, Sennheiser.com. And thank you, Sennheiser, for the support and the sponsorship. We love y'all.
That's also one of the things that I've loved about this is like the other festivals that, although great, a lot of them have gotten so big. That it's just crazy. And you can't go to, you can't see every show that you want to see. And you've kept this intimate for a reason, and it's become like, I mean, there's people from Jacksonville and from all over the place that come every year that I've become friends with.
Yeah, like Montana, Arkansas, Denmark.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's I think just in case she's listening. I think, somebody that became a dear friend to all of us is Chris, Cowboy Chris.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He struggled with cancer.
He was at every festival.
A long time.
Every festival.
And he made it a point to be here.
Yeah.
And we lost him a couple months ago.
Right.
And his wife called me, like the day after and was like, and that meant so much to me, and it just broke my heart. And it's like, but that is what you have built here, Arlis. Is like it's more than a festival. It's become
very family.
It is.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was hoping it would become. I got a lot of people that always want me to grow it, and I'm going to have to grow it because we're kind of rocking a little capacity action. So if I have 2 bars, but I'll make sure that you're not going to miss a songwriter, right? Yeah. If one songwriter is not going to play one show, and then you have to see that, or it's nothing, right? So we'll work on all that eventually. Yeah. So, but I like where it's at. That's for sure.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears a little bit before we wrap up, because I want to kind of go back to your songwriting.
Okay.
Since that's really what this podcast is all about, is the stories behind the songs. I thought it would be cool to just kind of shift it up and talk about the festival, because you've done such a great job.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And everybody listening, if you've never been to St. Augustine, number one, you should come visit any time of the year, because it's incredible. I love this place.
It's amazing. It's
so much history.
Old.
Oldest
so
city
old.
in the U.S.
It's old.
I mean, Flagler College has Tiffany glass with bulletproof glass on each side of it, because it's like, can you imagine going to a college where your dorm room is like
$10 million just in that little area alone? Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy. But yeah, if you have never been here for the festival specifically, it's always end of September, early October. Please come visit. We'll see you next year.
Yes, we'll see you next year.
We'll be here. I'll be hosting it, and it'll be great. But shifting back to songwriting, what would you say your favorite song is that you've written? And tell me a story about it.
Okay, I've got a few, but I would say, as weird as this is, Luke Bryan cut it. Julie Roberts cut it originally. Minute Mascara, Breakdown Here. Mm-hmm. She cut it originally. And then Luke Bryan ended up cutting it on Tailgate and Tan Lines, and it's just called Too Damn Young. And so me and Casey, the other songwriter, when we were starting to write it, it was like we didn't have a title. We just started spitting out these lyrics, and we just wanted to paint this beautiful picture. We wanted to be so storytelling, and we wanted so much image in it that it was undeniable. And then we got down all the way to the chorus, and we had no title. We still didn't have a title. And then we were just talking, and I think I said, man, these kids in this story are just too damn young to know like what they have, and that is stuck. too damn young to know any better, right? So we called it Too Damn Young, and it was a week went by, and I was about to demo, had a session going, and nobody on their team was like, yeah, demo that song. I was like, you know what? I'm going to demo this one. So I called Jamey Johnson to sing the demo on it, and even he loved it. So I'm like, oh, Jamey likes it. Everybody's liking this. And it turned out great, and it got cut a couple times over. But it's still one of my favorite pictorial songs. I like the songs that give me images, and I'm already in the room, and I don't even have to be there, that kind of thing. So I can smell it without being there, So
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. As we wrap up, I always end with the same question.
Okay.
So everything you've done through working with publishers and writing yourself, and being a manager on the road, starting a successful Songwriters Festival, assisting with other great festivals.
All right.
You've been through it all.
Yes.
You're going to go back to 8-year-old Arlis. What advice do you give yourself today?
8-year-old Arlis.
There you go. Yes.
Do not pick the guitar up. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't pick a guitar up till I was 18, to be honest with you. But yeah, 8-year-old Arlis would probably say, be kind. You're not always the smartest man in the room. Don't pretend to be. And if you are, you should leave and find people and surround yourself with really good people. Because that's one thing, we in our trials of life, you go and you find yourself with folks that just want to get high on the couch and whatever, and you're like, well, they're just sitting here. We gotta find stuff. And the minute I met Bryan Davis when I first moved to town, and his goal was my goal, and that was to be a songwriter, a successful songwriter. And then we met Dierks Bentley, and his goal was our goal. And then we just kept going down the line, and I'm like, this is what I should have been doing all along. Is you don't have to trim the dead weight, but find people with like-minded goals as you that you can talk to, and you can have that success in your future as you keep going. That's kind of what I went down some paths that were like, oh, you get comfortable, and you're looking at what you really want to do over there across the room, and you're like, boy, I'd love to walk over there and get that, But you don't, because you don't know how to do that process. But if you surround yourself with like-minded people, you're going to figure that out together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's so good. I think, especially for the young writers that are moving to Nashville and getting started, it is so easy. Like, it's fortunate or unfortunate, because the fortunate side of it is that there's always something going on.
Yeah.
And a way to socialize and meet poor people.
Right.
That's great.
Right.
The unfortunate side of it is that typically alcohol and craziness gets involved with that.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, like, I know early on, both of us we had our crazy party days.
Oh yeah.
And
absolutely.
still do every now and then.
Yeah.
But, it's, I as you were telling that, like, I remember, 10, 12 years ago when things were changing in my life because of having my first child, my baby girl, my angel. And I started to realize, like, hey, this life that I'm living right now is not what I want to be living.
No.
And if I look at the trajectory of the listening room, that's when things started to change.
Right.
My focus changed.
Honed in on it.
This is what I'm going to do. And put yourself in the room with people that are smarter than you, and if you're the smartest person, leave. I love that.
Yeah, because
it's so great.
You can't be.
Yeah,
or you would be a millionaire on a yacht somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I mean, another thing too is in your circle of friends that you get to meet in songwriting community, you should never find a jealous bone in your body when your friend has a number one and you don't. You should celebrate those moments with them, because you all worked hard to get there.
Yeah.
And if you can't celebrate with your friend when he gets a number one because you're jealous, or it should have been you and all that, you're taking it out of your, God's hands and putting it in yours, and it'll never work that way. It'll never work that way. You should celebrate everybody's success.
100%.
Yeah, I see that a lot in Nashville. They're like, dude can't even rhyme or whatever. You're like, well, you know what? He's worked hard. He got where he got because he worked hard.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thank you so much.
This has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been
I
a
love
blast.
these things.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody out there, please, we'll put liner notes of how you can follow Arlis, how you can follow the St. Augustine Songwriters Festival and all of that. So thank you guys so much. And please come visit St. Augustine. It's a beautiful place.
Thank you.
Stop by the Colonial Oak, Prohibition Kitchen, Trade Winds,
St. Sebastian Winery.
St. Sebastian Winery.
Yeah,
that was a great time last night.
Yes,
yeah, the VIP kickoff party every year. So
I love that. And the amp. If you haven't had a chance to go visit the amphitheater here, it is top notch. It's probably, I think it's voted top 5 or 3 in the United States. It's amazing here.
Yeah, we could go. I was just talking to the guys from War Hippies last night, and they played last week.
Yes,
and said it was like the biggest crowd and the biggest stage they have ever played.
17,000 people, man. It's crazy. It was amazing.
Awesome.
I got to stage manage that stage too.
Yeah, I heard. Yes, you did.
I do it all.
Yeah, I was like, dude, why didn't you come down and tell me to come down early? And like,
I should have.
Yeah,
I should have. Well, thank you
man,
again.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I love you, dude. I love your
too,
heart.
Buddy. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. And this has been another Stories Behind the Songs episode with Arlis Albritton. We'll see you next time.
All right.
This has been an episode of Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information after the show, head over to chrisblair.com. That's where you can find information on these episodes, trailer notes, video links, all kinds of great stuff. Also, make sure to leave us a great rating on iTunes, like and follow us on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. I really hope that you think this show is awesome, and we really appreciate the love and support. I promise to keep gathering great content and continuing to sit down with more amazing songwriters and artists as we grow. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for the support. We'll see you next time.